Welcome to the Referrals Podcast, the show designed to help everyone from the solopreneur to the Fortune 500 company win the referral game. If you want to build a company with an army of ambassadors and raving fans who speak highly of you and refer you willingly, you are in the right place. And now, here is your host, Michael J. Maher.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another amazing episode of Referrals Podcast. We are on the road to 1 million downloads. We are way over 600,000 on our way to 1 million. Thanks to you. Thanks for listeners and viewers like you. I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, subscribing, reviewing, rating, talking about, sharing Referrals Podcast. Just little old Referrals Podcast making big waves out there, and it's because of you. I'm not doing anything. I'm just showcasing and spotlighting people, honestly, who should be showcased and spotlight. And in some cases, this is the first time that the spotlight has been shined on them, and it's not going to be the last time. Just amazing people who have been guests on our podcast. And that leads us into today, where it's results are not guaranteed. According to the FCC and everything else, results are not guaranteed. Results are not guaranteed in anything. Most of the time, when someone takes a class, does a training, gets coached, what do? Right? They don't do anything. They don't change anything. So if you don't change anything and you don't do anything from the training, what are you going to get? You're going to get the same thing you've always gotten. Results are not guaranteed in anything. But I have to just say, if you're not on the event mastery train at this point, you are going to be the car on the tracks. You're going to be the person on the tracks. You need to get on this train, this event mastery train. Training, you got it. And like I said in the beginning, results are not guaranteed. But what if referrals could be guaranteed? And that's where we're at with event mastery. Referrals are guaranteed. If you don't get referrals, you get to take the class again. No charge. As long as you run the system, show up to all the classes, participate, do an event with me holding your hand, you're going to get referrals. So I guess maybe the results can be guaranteed in some ways. So referrals guaranteed. And that brings me to today's podcast, where I want to bring in a couple of agents who had done events before, but had never gotten referrals, never had sponsors, never partnered with a charity, never had volunteers help. And guess what? They got all of those things. They had a great event for their charity. They had a great event, outgoing referrals for their sponsor partners. They had a great event for themselves, incoming referrals and me's for them. They had volunteers who helped them out. They ran the play and won the game. They won the day and won the game. And I can't wait for you to learn more about Jennifer and Jake. And I can't wait for you to learn more about Event Mastery. I definitely encourage you to go to eventmastery.com. Sign up for Referral Mastery Academy. Do it for less than $100 a month for 2 months and see what happens. Maybe what will happen is what happened to Jake and Jennifer. So let's bring on Jake and Jennifer. All right, Jake, go ahead and real quick introduce yourself from Tampa and Asheville, North Carolina.
That's right. So Jake Yencarelli, I run a team in Tampa Bay, Base Camp Tampa Bay. I also have a team in Asheville, North Carolina, Base Camp Western Carolina. I'm a Keller Williams University Master Faculty Trainer and been in real estate 13 years.
Very cool. And Jennifer Myers out of Tampa.
Hi, Michael. Jennifer Myers out of Tampa Bay. I'm with Keller Williams Tampa Properties. I am entering my 6th year of real estate. It was a career change for me, and I service the Tampa Bay area.
Very cool. All right. So you both just went through Event Mastery, VIP edition, and I want to take myself, my team, and whoever watches or listens to this chronologically through the process of event mastery so they can, like, we can all better understand it and all hopefully get better. So Jake, I'm going to start with you is when you were thinking about getting into event mastery, like I'll start with a 1 to 10 question. Is on a scale of 1 to 10, one, you had your serious doubts that it would work, but you were open-minded. And 10 is you had absolute certainty that this was going to be a fun, charitable, profitable, and referral generating event.
So I would say I was probably a 7 from the start. I mean, we do events on my team. Michael, you and I've met outside of this before. So when I saw you were going to be doing this, I was like, yeah, we're going to be in it. I wasn't wholly committed to actually doing the event. Probably until like the third call or so. Like we were just kind of going through the motions at the beginning. And really because of the amount of time that we had allocated for doing other things. And we're like, all right, we're going to do this too. Like, I don't know. And so I would say that's what put me at a 7 at the beginning.
Did you have doubts or fears or hesitations about it other than that?
No, I mean, I know they work, and I've read your book. I've uh, hung out with you before, so like I knew that it would work. I just didn't know that if we would have the time to implement it the way it needed to be implemented.
I love it. Jennifer, how about you? Scale of 1 to 10. 1 is like a lot of hesitations. I'm not sure if this is going to work. And 10 is you had certainty that it was going to work.
I'm going to give myself a 6 on this one. And I started doing events last year. So this is the fourth event that I've held in total. And my other events, I felt like they were successful, but I wasn't necessarily getting referrals out of them. So I really wanted to be able to level up and learn that part as well and be able to expand what I was doing. So I was a little bit nervous about some of that and if that would actually happen or not. So that's why I'm going to give it a 6.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that's where a lot of people are is they've done events, they were fun and there were a lot of energy, but there was no return on investment. There was no return on it, right?
Yeah.
So so you didn't have any real fear about throwing an event necessarily?
No, I felt like people would show up and I would be able to have a fun event and people would have a good time. I just wanted to learn how to make it beneficial for my sponsors and myself and come from a place of, generosity.
Yeah, and what I love about this is you were both in a place of not wanting new. You were in a place of wanting more and wanting better. I love that. You weren't afraid of events. You were like, okay, like I've done events. How do I do events better? And I have to tell you, I think that's a big hesitation for a lot of people is like they think they're doing great events just because the people came and they had fun. And like we can do so much more with events. And I hope that comes out in our conversation today is just like, man, like don't just settle for an event. Like let's host life-changing events. Like literally life-changing for the attendees and life-changing for us as well. So, Jake, I'll come back to you as all right, I'm going to go just sequentially through this and let's talk about planning. Like the first session that we talk about in event mastery is planning mastery. And we go into planning, which is typically not very sexy, right? Planning it's a necessary evil, I think, for some people. But like, how did you feel going through planning mastery? Was there a big aha during planning mastery and kind of how did you handle that?
So I think going into planning, the planning stage of it, we have checklists for how we do our events right now. And um, it just, after going through that session, it was like, okay, this is a model for this kind of event. Like we've only done big events, never done like the micro event, and we
Mhm.
didn't really have a playbook for that. And so I think the planning piece of it gave us, a bit of like, okay, like we can do this and we can throw this together in the time frame that we have. And um, really the planning piece, and I think that's where we go through calling our first set of VIPs and interviewing them around events. That was probably the biggest determinant of like helping us through that planning stage of like, I didn't have to figure out where we were going to do it. the people that I was talking to, my VIPs that I was interviewing, were telling me where it could be done, and we
Mhm.
ended up doing it at one of those venues. And so I think that was probably the most helpful piece of like saying, okay, we are going to do this, and now like let's get out there and go see these places to see where we could do it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And you actually came up with your name and your event during the planning process. So what was the name of your event and what did you do?
Yeah, so we did Clothes for Kids, and we actually didn't land on the name of that event, and probably till like that we secured our vendor or
Charity.
our charity,
Mhm.
because we had multiple charities that we've already meet with, and then one of my VIPs I interviewed gave me the Fostering Hope
Hmm.
charity, and from there it evolved into Clothes for Kids and built out like how the structure of that would go. And so yeah, it probably wasn't until like the fourth call before we had a name for the event, and we were probably a week behind on the flyer, and yet we were like, all right, let's do this.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right, Jennifer, planning mastery. So you remember coming into planning mastery and so many people they just want to jump into the event, they want to jump into the different stuff and I kind of force people to like stop, let's fill out this snapshot and get a helicopter view of what this event's going to really be like. So talk to me about the planning of your event and what you learned from planning mastery.
Okay, so I had been planning on doing an event on February 12th before this even started. So it was absolutely perfect timing for me to do this, Michael. It was incredible. And I had never taken into consideration asking the people coming to the event what they would like at the event or where to have the event or anything like that. So I was a little bit nervous about having those conversations because
Yeah.
I haven't said, hey, I appreciate you helping me with things. And, if where would you like to go and what time would it like to be enough? Is this going to happen naturally? Is this going to be a weird conversation? Am I going to feel funny about it? But once I started doing it, it was all flowing and I didn't feel uncomfortable at all. And as a matter of fact, I ended up holding the event on the night that one of my VIPs had picked at the time frame, another VIP picked, and at a place that a third VIP had picked. So then I was able to thank them for the great ideas and the success of the night and everything. And all three of those people showed up to the event as well. So I felt like it really added a next level of it. And then doing the power notes afterwards, I absolutely love that touch. And they even mentioned it to me later, like, oh, it was so sweet that you sent me the card. And it just really deepens the relationship I think you have with these people already.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, did you have any doubts at all those three were going to show up when you picked their time, their day, and their place?
No, those were the three I knew I could count on.
Yeah, I
Yes.
mean that it was their idea. It's so much better when it's their idea than when it's our idea. So let's jump into a invitation mastery, right? So now we've talked to our people that we want to invite. We picked the most energetic people or the top people that we know, and we started having conversations with them, and that kind of becomes a de facto invitation. Like Jennifer, you said, is that you knew they were in. Once they gave a suggestion, they were probably going to be attending. Now let's jump into like that invitation mastery and creating the invitation. So, how did that go? What was your biggest aha from that? And let's talk about that. And Jennifer, I'll have you go first.
Okay. I ended up downloading the templates from you, Michael. So it was a no-brainer for me. It was kind of just plug in the information for the happy hour I was doing, and I didn't have a fancy title. It was just happy hour
Mhm.
for first day night. And I thought that it was designed well, and it took me 5 minutes. So I appreciate having that template. I also found that I like to play around on Canva too, so I could probably come up with a few of my own that would be pretty cool. But
Yeah.
this timing and everything, I enjoyed using yours, and I thought it was perfect. It had everything you needed on it. You just plugged in your charity, door prizes. I had never done anything like that
Yeah.
before, so including all of that, I thought was really powerful.
Yeah. So going through the process and I love that you use the template. That's why we provide them and we don't charge very much for them so that anybody can kind of afford it and tweak it. But we also need to pay for all the stuff that went into it, right? But all right. So what was an aha you got putting that invitation together as you sent it? How did it differ from what you did from your events before?
I did not have a charity prior
Mm.
to this that I was doing things for. I had always thought about it in the back of my mind, but wasn't sure how to do that. I had not done door prizes before, so I hadn't included anything like that. And I think in the past, I had made the venue a lot bigger, kind of like that was the star, and then realized looking at your invitation, like that has really minimal information. You just need the address and the name of the place. So it kind of flipped it that it was more about my actual event and these things that were happening at the event and not just the time, place, and location.
Yeah, love that. I love that. And I mean, I've had a coaching client in the past where, there was this magnificent event center and they wanted to just play it up. And so, and it's like people not necessarily going to go to somewhere just because it's magnificent. They're really, what they're attracted to is they're attracted to you, right? They're attracted to the interaction and the human interaction. So, love that you kind of refocused the invitation on what they were going to get versus where they were going to do it. So I absolutely love that. Jake, how about you? Talk to me about the invitation mastery process and your invitation and putting together the invitation.
Yeah, so we didn't have all the details yet on the first invitation.
All right, I'm going to interrupt right there. But isn't that great?
Yeah, no, it was
That's
good.
part of the strategy. So
Right.
go ahead.
Yep. And then we chat GPT'd it, basically threw it all in and just had them kick us out something. And I, my marketing person, and I told her splashy, she kind of cringed a little bit. Because we have an aesthetic and they like that. I was like, no, make it splashy, right? And so we went through a few, like once we got something quick created, we got it over, but we didn't have our sponsors lined up yet. We didn't have door prizes lined up yet. We knew we didn't know where it was going to be yet. Like we didn't have any of that data. It was just like, we're doing this thing and you're invited.
Yeah,
So
like a save the date more than an invitation almost
yeah,
at
it
this
was.
point.
And it evolved, right? So once we had it, we just kind of kept adding things to it. Once we had our sponsors and once we knew there was going to be door prizes. So we put door prizes on there, but we didn't know where they were going to be or who was going to buy them or what the case would be. And so it definitely evolved. But I think having it like, that it was just animated on that, which we don't usually do with our stuff. It's more, clean. And so yeah, so once we just started sending it out, it gave us an opportunity to then make an edit and send it again.
Right. The confirm and update. We call this the perfectly imperfect invitation.
Yeah.
We want it to be imperfect and we're doing it purposefully. And because why? Well, then we've got to confirm and update, confirm and update, confirm and update, and we get to send those out. So I love that. All right. So Jennifer, what did you end up falling on for the name of your event? Did you call it happy hour or did you end up tweaking that at all?
It was happy hour.
Yeah.
I did happy hour. It had the two big beer mugs
Yeah.
cheersing each other, and
Yeah.
it looked great.
I love it. All right. So let's talk about that next part, which is sponsor mastery. Let's get this puppy paid for and let's talk partners. So you went through sponsor mastery, Jennifer. What was your biggest aha and kind of how did that turn out for you?
My biggest aha was utilizing your method to receive more referrals for my sponsors.
Mhm.
In the past, my sponsors, at least one of them, had really tried to work the events herself and did a lot of talking and, ended up with a few, people interested in insurance quotes. She runs an insurance agency. And this time I actually ended up with more referrals for her by that not happening. And she wasn't even at the event this time. So that's kind of interesting too. So she couldn't make it that night. She was doing another
All
event.
right. So I'm going to restate that.
Okay.
Right. So the event she went to, she might have got, and she worked it hard, baby. She
Yes.
worked it hard. She was talking to everybody. She was trying to get a return on this event and she got like two or three possibilities. The
Yes.
event she didn't go to, she didn't work at all. She ended up with how many referrals from you?
6 or 8, depending on how you look at it. I'm saying 6 because 2 of them were couples. So the couples both put it, but 6 referrals without even being at the
Yeah. So she tripled her referrals by not being there, not working the crowd, and because of the system, right? Because of having a system to generate those. So any other ahas from sponsor mastery or partnering with people, and how many sponsors did you end up having for your event?
I had two sponsors. I had a title company and the insurance company, and they paid for basically everything. So it was a break-even event for me. They paid for the entire bar and restaurant tab, and we had fantastic door prizes, and it was all covered by the two of them. And I think my biggest aha moment was listening to other people during the VIP event mastery that ended up with profits that they were putting towards their next events. I didn't even know that was a possibility or anything that that I would have thought of myself in the past. So that was pretty exciting to think about doing too. And I've got more people that will sponsor my next event after having this one. So
For sure, right? Especially after they found out one person got six. What did your other? I bet the title company might have got three or four. Title companies are really hard to refer, typically. Yeah,
she had two people that had questions for her. So
that's awesome, right? That's awesome. That's a good turnout. So, a title company usually gets zero referrals, in a year, and here they got two. So that's awesome. And there is a really big breakthrough that happens. First of all, for what would the total of bill have been for your event if you had to pay for it?
uh,
Approximately.
$710.
Yeah. So even if you had to pay 710, this event would have been a win. But it becomes a bigger win when you zero base it. And then you start to think, yeah, I could have made some money here. I could have made $500 hosting this event and gotten all of the same and maybe more by doing that. And that abundance mentality is a game changer. Like it just mentally, the whole thought of profiting, doing your lead generation is is a crazy cool thought, right?
Amazing.
Yeah. Jake, how about you on the sponsor mastery part? What was your biggest aha and kind of roll us through how that turned out for you?
Yeah, so I had two sponsors. I had a general contractor and an electrician. The GC does a lot with his own nonprofit, and so I think one of the things that made the yes so quick and easy for the sponsors was that it was there for charity. It was
Yeah.
a charity event, and they I haven't had either of them sponsor our events in the past, and so they stepped up. You know they were like door prize. I was like, oh yeah, and it's going to be a good one.
Hmm.
And so they were really bought in. They were both there. They were working the table for the check-in table. I had my sponsors work the check-in table, and
Love
it
it.
was yeah. I think I got at three referrals for each of those trades at the event. And they were also, eager to then host again for whatever events we do next. So the electrician's like, how do we double or triple the room for the next
Hmm.
one? And so I thought that was pretty cool.
Sounds like event mastery all yet, which
Yeah.
is coming up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, perfect. And so you ended up delivering both of them three referrals, which I mean, general contractor and electrician, they're going to turn three referrals into probably quite a bit of money and quite a bit of opportunity. So
Sure.
that's really, really good for them. And as you mentioned, the a big aha it sounds like for you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, was having them provide a door prize so that you can brag on them.
Yeah.
So did you end up doing that at the event and kind of leading people through that and just endorsing them publicly?
Yep, we did. That's probably where my regret was to be having a mic and a speaker because the space was pretty loud.
Yeah.
So on the next one, we're definitely going to have that. But yeah, they both had, we did like a flat screen and they had like a nice Bluetooth speaker giveaway. And then the venue provided a giveaway as well. And so we had three giveaways and we did them about three-quarters of the way through the event to try to make sure people didn't just leave after getting there right away. And yeah, I mean, it totally zeroed out our entire cost. I don't know how much the tab ended up being at the end, but they covered all of it.
What do
Um,
you think it would be? What do you,
um,
$1,000,
yeah,
$800?
I would say so, probably about that. I mean, usually in the past it was like open bar, so like having the one drink ticket, I thought went really well. And as a matter of fact, like I had the drink tickets, but if they wanted to buy someone else a drink, I was like, all right, here's another one. Like it's
Yeah.
your wallet. Like you can buy someone a drink if you want to. Yeah, but it would probably all in have been around $500 to $700 somewhere in that window.
Yeah, very cool. Still a pretty inexpensive adventure, right? Or
Yeah,
venture.
no, 100%.
Yeah. So even better when it's paid for by
Yeah.
others.
Mhm.
Yeah, we'll do this all day long if it doesn't cost us anything. Well, let's move into charity mastery, right? So I'll stick with you, Jake. Your entire event essentially evolved around clothes for kids. So what was your biggest aha during charity mastery, and how did that play a part in your event?
Yeah, I thought probably the coolest part about the charity part of it was I had forgotten that 6 years ago we renovated Fostering Hope's foster house
Hmm.
up in our area, and the charity actually brought like 5 or 6 of their people from the charity, like the director, several of their employees, they just brought everybody there. And so it was really cool. And then they're like, "Hey, you look familiar, like, were you at the Hope House?" I was like, "Yes," and they're like sending me pictures from like 6 years ago of me like working on a deck. And I thought that was pretty cool. We also were able to connect that charity to other charities that came to the event. So that was probably the biggest win for me, was making the connections to be able to connect the YMCA and a few other charities, people who were at the event who are part of other charities, with them to then grow that bigger. They're just so thankful and so happy. We're going to have them, likely we're going to use them as our next charity for our next event too.
So what did people bring? What was
Yeah.
the clothes for kids?
So their wish list was like diapers, formula, kids, clothes for younger kids. And so we had one table at the restaurant, like it was set aside, and it was just mountains of boxes of diapers and formula and little kids' socks and just stuff like that. And that was what everybody brought.
Yeah.
We had a few people that couldn't stay, and they just brought that stuff and put it down, but like, wish I could stay, but I gotta go. But then they just left that stuff, and so they were kind of blown away with the amount of such a small venue, tight event, and how much that we were able to raise for
I love it. You even got a couple of introverts to attend, it sound like.
them.
They're the ones that snuck in, gave, and then snuck back out.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah, here you go. Can't stay, but here you go. I
yeah.
love it. That's fantastic. So Jennifer, how about you? The charity aspect of charity mastery and attaching a charity to our events and our community events. So what did you learn from it, or what was your big aha, and how did it turn out for you?
It turned out fantastic for me. I had donations for the Joshua House, which is also a child fostering facility with multiple homes out in Lutz, Florida. And I contacted them. I already knew the director from other charity work that I've done for them and volunteer work that I've done, but I just wanted to reach out and find out what they were in need of. And she said cleaning supplies like Tide
Mm,
Pods, Dawn soap, things like that. So I just put it very briefly on the invitation, please bring a donation for Joshua House and Tide Pods, cleaning supplies, etc. And I ended up with an entire laundry basket full of cleaning supplies and 2 small boxes full of cleaning supplies. And
mm.
one of the people that forgot to bring a donation actually then Amazoned me a huge box of cleaning supplies. So I was overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that people brought. I just couldn't even believe it and was so proud to take all of that over there and give it to Dee Dee Grundle, who runs Joshua House, and it's such an amazing place. So the generosity of the people that showed up for me, not only being generous to show up for me, but generous in bringing something too, really was amazing.
Well, both of you should be very, very proud because you were the conduit, you were the catalyst to those things happening and helping these charities out in a big, big way. And sometimes we think, well, I only brought one blanket, but our event generated 50 blankets. So that charity is getting 50 blankets where they didn't have any before. So, what a thought that we can leverage and scale, not just for ROI or fun, but we can leverage and scale donations to charity, and we can leverage and scale generosity. And what a cool thing that is. I'm proud of both of you, and you both should be super proud of yourselves and your community. Your community turned out in a big way. Both of you had piles of stuff to give to the charity and help the charity out. Probably in some cases gave them enough supplies for the rest of the year, which is a beautiful thing. So let's jump into confirmation mastery. Jake, I'm going to start with you. I've got your numbers in front of me. So talk about what you learned during confirmation mastery and give us some numbers. Like how many RSVPs did you have? How many no-shows or regrets did you have? How many total people did you invite? That kind of thing.
Yeah, so I would say we invited, I think we invited around 50. And at the end, usually there's single invitations, but they had to plus one it.
Yeah.
So anyone that we had that said they would be coming, um, we made them bring someone with them. And so I think all in, we had 33 that attended. I'm looking at my spreadsheet here, um, about a half a dozen no's, and then about a half a dozen maybes, and the rest were yeses.
Hmm.
Some of the maybe showed all the no's were no's, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yet that's kind of how we went through the confirmation. And it was the cool part about it was multiple touches through confirmation. We did the one thing that we didn't get to was like the day of confirmation text message. It just the way things ended up rolling out. But we still had a pretty good turnout. We had, I mean, I think it was 36 total RSVPs, 33 showed.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal number. Just so you know, the typical is 50%. So you were more
Yeah,
like 85 to 90%. So that's
yeah.
that's a really, really good turnout for this event.
And I
And
think part of that was just because it was the multiple touches throughout the process of the each week was another touch, another confirmation, another touch, another confirmation.
yeah, we were joking with the team yesterday. Is just like we have all kinds of ABCs. Like we say the old ABC is always be closing because of the whole Glengarry Glen Ross, and everybody always says ABC always be closing. And I always say like no, that's dead. It's really always be connecting, right? The new ABC is always. But it's funny, Tommy and I and some of the other coaches were in a conversation. Tommy's like, you really need to change it to within event mastery that it's always be confirming because you're always confirming and updating. So it's this constant, consistent confirmation that's going on during the process. So I'm telling you, 33 out of 36 is phenomenal. And the cool thing is you also have those no's to communicate to, and you also have the maybes to communicate to, and you also have the people who didn't show up to communicate to. So now you keep that communication going, even though they weren't even at the event. So you have further opportunities and so on and so forth coming from the communication with them. Love that. So Jennifer, how about you?
I
With the
invited
confirmation mastery, what was your biggest aha? And then like what percentage of the people do you think came and what was your process on that?
Okay. With the confirmation mastery, my biggest aha was that I was really missing the boat on a lot of opportunity to reach out to people and to contact people. And I really feel like I could elevate that even further. I think, if I was going to rate myself on a 1 to 10, I probably hit the mark at a 5 or 6 this time. And I didn't, same as Jake, I did not have time to do all of my 48, 24-hour day of that I had anticipated doing. I had something else come up. So I learned that maybe I need an assistant to help me do some of that
There you go. Yeah.
next time.
Who
Uh,
is not you? I love that answer.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe delegate that one off. But I invited 53 people. I had 23 people attend. I
Mhm.
had 14 people send regrets, and I had 3 no-shows.
Yeah, so judging from your numbers, like if you would have just told me your numbers, I would have said, "Oh, you didn't do the 24-hour and the 1 hour confirmation." Things happen. People get busy, and honestly, they forget. Unfortunately, not everybody is good at putting things on their schedule as we tend to be at putting things on our schedule. So I get it. I love it. And honestly, 23 attendees, knowing your numbers like I do, like, holy cow, you had a great event no matter what. Like, so I love that. Anything else around the confirmation mastery that was kind of an aha for you or something that came out from that?
I can add one thing to that we did, that I don't know if it was in the material. We created a calendar event for it. hid the attendee list and then added the people from our database to that calendar event.
Love it.
Set it at like a 1 hour reminder.
Yeah.
So maybe it filled the gap a little bit from us not hitting that text out, but it was like they were in the calendar event for that, and we kept updating the calendar event with each thing that we had that we were doing. So it was kind of an additional touch.
Google Calendar, iCalendar,
Google
what?
Calendar. Yeah, Google
Okay.
Calendar.
Did
So
you put the alerts on, and what did you put on the alerts?
so I set the alert to a 1 hour reminder.
Yeah, there you go.
And so then it did alert everybody
Yeah.
1 hour.
Either by email or it might have shown up on the face of their phone,
Right,
right?
exactly. And then we kept updating like as things progressed with the event. We got the venue, we got the sponsors, we would update the calendar event, which
Yeah.
would then send an update
Yeah.
to them around what was happening. And so that might have filled the gap in a little bit for us
For
slipping
sure.
on.
And I love that. I think that's a phenomenal idea. And I love the baseline. The only place where it might not have had as much magic is I don't think it's going to replace those texts
It won't.
to confirm for 24 to 48 and the 1 hour before.
Yeah.
But overall, I love the fact that it kind of automatically confirmed and updated on another level. So it's got this base level, and then it is on their calendar
Yeah.
because they accept it, and then it literally is on their calendar. So I absolutely love that. So event mastery, right? So event mastery was the next section, and we talked about like how to create that experience and the flow of the event, and went into detail on how to do the process of doing the door prizes, endorsing the sponsors, getting referrals, and so on and so forth. So, Jennifer, I'll start with you. Just talk me through like what was your biggest aha when you actually held the 2 hour event, and what were some things that you felt like went really well, and some things that maybe you'll do better next time.
So I tried to follow your plan as close as possible. I was giving out drink tickets in the beginning, and then the bartender actually asked me to stop doing that because they weren't able to track them or something. And I don't really know what happened, but she just wanted people to go up and order drinks. And I was a little bit flustered, like, oh, this is not part of my
Yeah,
process.
this is not the system.
This is not the
Yeah,
system. But,
yeah.
then I realized it was up to me to discuss that with them ahead of time. And I hadn't done a good enough job of doing that. So now I learned next time I'm going to lay it all out on the table. Like, this is the way we're going to do this. So that
Yeah.
was a little hiccup. That was an aha moment that I need to, prepare the staff better ahead of time. I did like giving out the drink tickets, though. I thought
Yeah.
that was a great idea up until the point where I didn't,
Yeah.
which was at the very end anyway. I also liked having the announcement at 7:15 that I was doing the drawings at 7:30. And I do think that it kept some people there longer
For
than
sure.
would have stayed for sure, because a lot of people left, like right after that mark. And then, of course, I had people that stayed until I was ready to leave as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always somebody, right? But I feel like that formula was really successful. And also, I really liked having that moment to, again, talk about my sponsors and, just say something nice about them quickly without any pressure. So,
Yeah. The worst thing is when they talk about themselves, right? And same with us. The worst thing we do is when we talk about ourselves. So having the chance to endorse them, they have to buy into me endorsing you is going to be a lot better than you grabbing the mic and saying anything. Like literally, the less you say, the more referrals you might get, and don't take that personally. So I love that. And I love that you implemented the golden ticket strategy. I love that. The fact that they had to come to you to get the ticket. I mean, one nice thing about that is we can stick with our budget, right? If we have 100 drinks budgeted, I have 100 tickets. I better not get charged for more than 100 drinks. But the biggest benefit is they have to interact with you. Like you get to love on them, and you get to fist bump them, and you get to, and the problem with most events is they come in, they wander around, and you have 5 conversations all night, and you didn't get a chance to actually have that interaction. Whereas the golden ticket strategy, this just conquers that. And something I'm going to add is make sure we communicate about the golden ticket strategy beforehand, with the bartender. And a lot of times you probably told the manager, you probably told the owner, but maybe that message didn't get to the person on staff on that day, and it happened. So I,
Exactly.
yeah, I love it. You ran the play. You ran the play. They changed the play on you a little bit, and then you adapted nicely. And luckily, it was, almost to the end of the day. So, Jake, how about you? Event mastery. What was your biggest aha about the 2 hour experience that we're going to provide the guest, and talk about the flow of your event and how it went?
Yeah, so we did the golden ticket. I had my sponsors running the sign-in table. One thing that we'll do different on the next one is make sure that our registration form has the biggest print possible
Oh yeah,
on it. The lighting was a bit lower than what I was anticipating as we got in later in the night. And so as people were there like looking like, what am I supposed to do with this? And
yeah.
so we could have done that a little better. But they all had to come to me to get the ticket. And the moment they came to me, we chatted. And then I got to introduce them to somebody else that was there and then pair them up and then send them on their way and go. Um, the venue was great. We actually had like a section of the restaurant. We weren't like in a private space, which was okay. It was all standing room only for the amount of space that we had.
That's
Um,
beautiful. That's
and
beautiful.
yeah, and it was kind of like overflowing out of our space. And the I don't know that that's where if we had like a buffet bar where it was like not buffet but like an appetizer bar where like all the appetizers went here would have
Mhm.
been made it a little bit flow a little bit better. Because I don't we didn't run out of food, but I don't think people got food that may have wanted it.
Okay.
And so yeah, I mean, and again, if I had, if I brought my like, JBL sound box with my microphone, it would have I would have been able to wouldn't have had to yell as much during
Yeah.
that time frame, and I could have updated. But I thought
Yeah.
overall it went really well. I mean, the venue was like it was a Thursday night, and we made their night. Um, and I think that if they had, ideally one more person there, maybe two servers instead of one, then someone wouldn't have been like figuring out where they had to go and when they had to get there. So, but
Mhm.
overall, the flow went really, really well.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. There's something in events called the hub concept. And the hub concept is now, this is like, I'm really pushing Cinco de Mayo events. I'm really pushing them, right? And the one of the keys is you put the appetizers in a central table,
Mm.
and then you set up all of the tables and chairs and where the people stand and so on and so forth around this central table that has the appetizers on it. And the hub concept, what it does is they keep coming back, especially like, if it's, I mean, if appetizers and it's food, they keep coming back, and it creates a community hub for conversation. They're going to converse with each other at the food table, and it becomes the central hub. And then let's say that everybody's done eating or the appetizers are almost done, you clean off, and then that's where you do your door prizes at, right? So you can have that hub concept kind of implemented there. And you know what, I don't talk about that enough. So that's a really good point about the appetizers, and maybe having it be centrally located or at least over by you versus the worst thing is when you have 20 tables and they put the appetizers on some people's tables, but other people's not tables.
That's what
And
happened to me.
and listen, that's on it. The restaurant should have known that. Like, they should know that concept, but now we know that concept.
Right.
So, in that case, you're like, oh, wait, grab those appetizers. Let's put a table, and it doesn't have to be in the middle, but it needs to be centrally located against a wall or wherever. And then all the appetizers are put there. Everybody gets a plate. Everybody gets their silverware, and then they go at it like a buffet. A buffet, like, why was a buffet invented? It was invented for congregation and communal. It was actually formed because everybody had to get up and go through food together versus getting served plated food at their table. So there's a power to buffet. There's a power to an appetizer table. So absolutely love that, and I love the idea of bringing the mic and speaker next time. And here's what I love about both of you as we're going through this. A lot of people who implement any type of event system or have an event, they're afraid to host. They're afraid to be a host. They tend to become a guest at their own event. What I love about both of you is you're both generous hosts, right? You want the best experience possible for the guests, but, and I mean but, not and. A lot of times I use and after that. But you're also not afraid to take control and take charge of the festivities, which is what a generous host has to do. A generous host has to be strong and courageous enough that, like, if something needs corrected, then we're going to get it corrected. If somebody's being belligerent, then we always look at, is this the safest experience for our attendees, and is this the best experience for our guests? And that's what a generous host looks at, is we don't want to be a guest at our own event. We want to be the generous host who orchestrates, conducts, and oversees. You both modeled this perfectly, like so beautifully. And listen, it takes courage to do that. It takes bravery, especially around people you know. If your mom's there, it's almost impossible, right? You know what I'm saying? If your family's there, it's sometimes really tough, especially because of the dynamics of a family. I'm the fourth kid out of five, so I definitely get that deferring to the oldest blank, right? And it's like, no, when you're the host, there is no deferring. We are the host. You just nailed that. So
Yeah.
let's,
Also, I
yeah.
gotta say, thank you for suggesting for me not to have a drink at the event, because I likely would have, like all my other events, and I think that made a difference. Just being clear enough to do it.
I love it. And a lot of things on that. Number one is you might get more respect from the people around you when you're not drinking, right?
Likely.
And then the second part leads into our final phase of event mastery, which is follow-up mastery. And that doesn't mean you can't have a drink afterwards with 3 or 4 of your friends, right?
Hmm.
It just means 6 to 8 or 5 to 7 or 4 to 6 that you're on duty, you know? And then after 6, I mean, that doesn't mean you can't go to dinner with 3 or 4 or have a drink or whatever it means. It's just like the event's over. Like, we have to have a firm and strong indication that the event is over. And one thing I always say is let's say it's 6:45. I just say, hey, listen, everybody, we're going to wrap up in about 15 minutes. If you're still here at 7, you're going to be part of the cleanup crew, right? And then it's amazing how many people don't want to be part of the cleanup crew. So it's one way to get everybody to leave. But I love that. So let's talk about the fortune is in the follow-up and follow-up mastery. And Jennifer, I'll start with you, and you just tell us, like, all right, we are a few weeks post-event. Talk to us about what you learned in follow-up mastery, what you've done from follow-up mastery, and kind of how your results were.
So with the follow-up mastery, I sent out a Google survey. It's the first time I'd ever made a Google survey before, so I was really proud of
Nice.
myself to be able to figure it out and get it sent out. Almost everyone at this point, except for I think one person, has responded to me. And I included getting ideas for my next event, which I am also thinking seriously about a Cinco de Mayo event. So I'm really
Mhm.
excited that you said that. And I'm
Yeah.
doing event mastery starting next week. So hopefully this will all tie in together
Perfect.
again.
Perfect.
And then I ended up getting 2 more referrals for myself after that, from people that have family members looking for investment properties. So
All right, wait a second. You got referrals before the event, you got referrals
yes,
during the event, and you got referrals after the event?
yes, I did.
It's a pretty dang good event. Would you agree?
I would
Like,
100% agree.
yeah. And Tampa's not selling for 300,000. I'm just saying. I know what the rest of that story looks like. So I love it. So how many total referrals did you end up getting?
For myself,
Yeah.
3. So
How
1,
many?
3
Okay.
for
All right.
me.
Yeah.
You mean for my partners as well?
No, so 3 for you, and then how many outgoing referrals?
Outgoing referrals, I had 8.
Yeah, really good, right? Really good. First time you've run the system. Now I have to warn you, be ready with the next event. Those numbers, and I want to under promise, over deliver, but those numbers may double for the next event because your community had not been trained to bring referrals to events yet. Now they're like, oh, I get it. I get what my role is in Jennifer's community. My role is to provide referrals. If I provide referrals, I'll get invited to these great events, and I will I will get all this extra value. So I absolutely love that. 3 and 8. And then Jake, where were you as far as your final numbers for incoming and outgoing?
We had 8 inbound referrals, and I think the me's on your sheet are like it's me who has the referral, right? Like I need to do business.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we had
me's.
4, yeah. So 8 referrals of like leads, and then 4 people at the event that are like, I want to do business right now.
So 12
12.
opportunities for business.
Yep. And
And
then 6 outbound. So the sponsors, and that doesn't include like the connections with the charity and making those connections. So yeah, so 6 outbound for my contractor and electrician.
yeah, like you're talking about with the charity, like we don't even try to measure opportunities.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if we measured opportunities that are we don't even know probably 80% of them because they happened in a conversation we weren't a part of with the other people that were already congregating and meeting. So, all right. So talk about your follow-up mastery ahas and what you got from it and any results or that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, overall, everyone that we had talked to thoroughly enjoyed being there, enjoyed the connections that they made in the room. Just loved having the charity. I think that was the overwhelming positive response was just how much giving. And it was like open giving, right? It's like it's not just like people give here and there, but it's like literally they could see all of that. So they really like that. The Other than that, I mean, it was just overwhelming positive response to what we did and how we did it, and like they're like, wow, that was like really polished. Was kind of what we received as far as how we did it.
I love the word polished. Polished. That's a great smooth,
Mm-hmm.
polished.
Yep.
I love that. I mean, I'm not sure if there's a higher compliment from an event than it was polished. I mean, flowed, smooth, polished. What we don't want to know, I don't think we want to hear perfect. Like when I hear perfect, I'm like, oh crap. Like that's a tough standard for my next event. It's like, hey, smooth, I can do smooth. Flowed well, I can do that. It's
Yeah.
polished, I could probably do perfect. Dang, I don't know how I'm going to follow that. So,
Yeah. And I
Jennifer,
think a lot
you
of
had,
people,
yeah,
oh, I was going to say that just like the smaller space, the smaller venue, more intimate, I think that went really well versus just having this massive like room with people that you couldn't connect with. So I think it was a good group.
yeah.
We had a good group together. Nobody really knew each other, and we made a lot of connections, and that went well.
How cool is it that all these cool people didn't know each other, and now they at least know each other?
Yeah, and I think we added. I mean, we had people bring people to the event, so I think we added, 8 to our database.
Yeah.
And they're going to be good. Those are now, people that want to hear from us again.
Well, I think you hit it on the head there with want to hear from us. We can add people to our database in a million different ways. But is there a better way for them to have a first impression of you than at a really fun event where you collected a lot of great things for charity and everybody had a good time?
Yeah,
What
exactly.
are what do those 8 people think about you? They think you're the greatest realtor in the history of the world, Jake. They do. They're like, my realtor never did anything like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to party with this guy. I want to be part of this guy's community. So there's no better way to integrate new people than an event, in my opinion. Of course, I'm obviously passionate about events. Jennifer, I have to go back to you on your follow-up survey. The average percentage of people who attend that fill out the survey is 50%. So if,
Oh,
if somebody has 30 people attend, they typically get about 15 people who will actually fill out the follow-up survey. How did you get such a high percentage of people to go to the Google form and fill it out?
My text message that I sent along with it, maybe. I thanked them for coming again and just told them how much I appreciated their input. And that was
And they
basically it.
just clicked on it and filled it out.
Yes.
when did you do, what day was your event on? And then when did you send the text with the Google form?
My event was on February 12th,
Okay.
and I had already sent out thank you power notes again before
Wow.
I had
Okay.
sent out
That's why they filled it
actual
out.
survey.
Okay.
So then the survey came out. I was a little bit late, about probably 2.5 weeks is when I
That's
sent
not
it.
late. That's not late. That's good. That's good. What you don't want to do is send it out the next day. It looks too planned, right? So I love that you sent it out about 15 days later. And okay. So and it all works together. Did you write everybody one power note through the process or two power notes through the process?
Most people received two. There were
When
some,
they RSVP'd and when they attended.
yeah, or after I did the initial phone call asking for their advice on where, location, timing, theme, that type of thing. And then I
Okay.
would send a power note then. So different people received them at different points during the journey.
Yeah. So your top people got them early and then after the event.
Afterwards.
Well, so here's what that does. And I think this explains why your percentage was so high is that, I mean, what you appreciate appreciates. So you obviously, and you gave them evidence of your appreciation. It was a handwritten note. Saying we're appreciative is a certain level of appreciation. Writing on a power note, which you can see what I'm going to be doing an hour from now for an hour, right? And it's one of those where like they know if they fill this survey out, it will be appreciated. And it's like, how do they know that? Well, they know it because of the handwritten notes you wrote that just proved that you appreciate their input, you appreciate their thoughts. And what that tells me, Jennifer, that is what this is all about. And I don't want to go off too much on a tangent here, but what I'm getting from that is that like your people, your community, your sphere felt seen and heard. And in this world, especially with how social media is getting so out of whack, is those are the two things people really want most today is to feel seen and feel heard. And that tells me that your people felt seen, felt heard. And there's a magic to that. There's a real magic to that. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
All right. So I think the bottom line question, right? If we have a bottom line question, is on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 is least likely and 10 is most likely. How likely are you to recommend Event Mastery to a friend or colleague? And Jennifer, you can go first and then Jake.
100 out of 10.
Okay, that was not part of the scale. But,
10. I'm a 10
I'm
plus.
going to let it go this time, Jennifer. I'm going to let it go because it sounds like a really big number. So, all right. So, what would you tell a friend or colleague about Event Mastery based on your experiences?
To trust the process. And even if things feel unfamiliar or uncomfortable or not something that you would have thought of to do yourself, just to get outside of your comfort zone and go ahead and do it anyway, because it's going to make the event turn out wonderful and you'll have great results from it.
Awesome.
That you've
Thank you,
obviously
Jennifer.
done this before a few times. So just
Yeah.
trust the process.
Yeah. Yes. All right, Jake, scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a 10 for me. It's all about the model, right? And not having to create that model and having had to then create models in the past and like fail through that. I think having that just right there, um, that's probably why we ended up actually doing the event was because the model was there and it was easy to follow. And really there's a lot of agents that could have done this. I mean, Jennifer, like we had the opportunity to do this, and 20% of the agents did it, and those that didn't, I mean, I think there was just a fear factor in that. So my statement to those agents would be like, it's easier than you think, and then here's the model to just do it, and
Mm,
and trust that it's going to work because it will, and then our results then reinforce that for the next one.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. And I think you hit it on the head is that, everybody's busy, everybody's got things to do. And in this world, there are so many trainings, there are so many Zooms, there's so many choices. And honestly, in the real estate world, especially, I happen to be in a lot of worlds, so I kind of have a different perspective. But in the real estate world, like there's been a lot of trainings that didn't turn out to get them results. And so there is this little bit of a distrust or at least mistrust of trainings in general. So I think you hit on a great point, Jake, is both of you didn't have to do this. Both of you decided to do it and you ran it, and the results were great. And I think that's why we keep saying trust the system, trust yourself, and keep moving forward with this. Is we have something that's generating results. And I'm not a noisy guy. I'm not a marketer. I'm not going to go do something ridiculous like dress up like Batman. Oh, wait, I have done that. I'm not going to go do something like super ridiculous to try to get people I'm also not going to do a video every day on social media, right? I'm an introvert and I've got a family and I have a million other things to do. But like what I hope is that we get the word out about this, that, hey, there is a system here that you can put any event on top of. You want to do something about roller coasters. You want to do something about like, Pokemon cards. You want to do something about, happy hour. You want to do something about clothes for kids. You can put it on top of this event mastery operating system, and it's going to be fun, profitable, charitable, and referral generating. And that's what I hope people get out of this. And I hope you both experience. Was it fun? Was it profitable? Was it charitable? Was it referral generating?
Yes.
All of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you so much, both of you, just for letting me kind of break this down. And I am so curious. Like I'm so in improvement mode and growth mode right now. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and sharing your thoughts, Jake. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And Jennifer, really appreciate it as well. And looking forward to seeing both of you in Event Mastery next week.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. I cannot guarantee that you are going to have 100 on a scale of 1 to 10. I cannot guarantee that. But I can guarantee that you're going to have a fun, profitable, charitable referral generating event. And I hope you join us on March 10th. It's coming up. It's happening. Like it's almost now. So go to eventmastery.com, check it out, sign up, make it happen, and get on board. Get on board this training. Get on board the event train, and let me show you how to become locally famous and locally referred and all the great things that happens with Event Mastery. And remember, when you sign up for Event Mastery, when you do an event, a lot of people come to us for the referrals. But I want you to know that you're going to end up finding out that you do an event not just for the referrals, not just for the charity, not just for the volunteers to get involved, not just for the profit. Like you do events because of who you become. You become a better person, not just in the eyes of the attendees and your community, but you become a better person in your own eyes, and you become more attractive, more influential, and more referred. And isn't that what this is all about? So I love you. I appreciate you. And guess what? I know what the next Referrals podcast episode is about, and you're going to love it too. I will see you on the next episode of Referrals Podcast. Thank you.